rookies report on the 16th, and they get a little bit of the walkthrough. Really not much coming out in those days, but then the veterans all came in. They reported. Everybody was there. Even Alex Anzalone was there. It was a beautiful thing. And then there was football activities. Dan Campbell spoke and he said stuff, and it was amazing.
Finally, right? Finally, we're living football. And buddy, I got it worked out, and I apologize. We got it. We are rolling.
Finally,
we are back. We are back.
The gas has come back to YouTube.
No, so let's kick it off right there. But I thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me a minute to troubleshoot, and you're the master. So let's start with that first and foremost. Thank you for allowing me a platform to start with something like this. We're going live on Saturdays, in the mornings there from 10 to 11 for a while. Obviously, with the lull of the off season and the preseason, we kind of let a couple weeks just settle, take some time away, recharge, refresh, get some family time in. As you always say, faith, family, and football in that order, right? That's it. That's how it goes. So before we get started, let's shout out you first, Villain. Tell everyone first where they can find you, all your great work. Where do you broadcast? Let's set that out there right now.
Well, the main thing is, the YouTube page I've had is actually the oldest thing that I've had since, and I used to put my music on there, and that was football stuff, all kinds of different stuff. But at 313 Villain, 313 Villain Squad on Facebook, and you even talked me into going on to TikTok, and I'm on X too. So I just started those, so I need all the help I can get on the smaller ones, but we're hitting 70,000 strong.
Wow, dude.
We're going to cross that barrier here probably within the next day or two. And that's fun. Lots of people love celebrating these Detroit Lions. And now we've expanded out into talking a little bit about the Tigers, Red Wings, and the Pistons as well. It's a lot of fun.
Heck yeah. No, you do a great job. You do a great job. You give a great platform to a lot of people. And what's cool is I got to chat with a lot of fun Lions fans through your channels and got to know a lot of good people. So that's the cool part about being involved with your communities. It's just, it seems like all like-minded football fans that want to chat, want to debate, talk good football. So today's live, and this is kind of the first of what will hopefully be many to come. Tuesdays, 9:30. Johnnny Gaz live on YouTube, and then catch it on all of Russell's channels here. So today's going to be about training camp. We're diving into week one. We're going to kind of go through day 1, 2, and 3, some of the highlights. We'll look at the Alex Anzalone contract situation. We'll talk about that. We'll get into the injuries a little bit. I think we've got to discuss that. We'll talk about some running backs. So there's so much to dive into. We'll try to keep it to an hour. Me and Russell like to get rolling though sometimes, so we'll see if we can keep it to an hour. So let's start there, buddy. I think for me, one of the biggest things so far has been some of the injury concerns. So why don't we get that topic out of the way first? The biggest news to me was the Levi Onwuzurike presser when Dan came out before training camp started, and he kind of laid the groundwork and just said, look, Levi's out the ACL. He did the surgery, and now he's going to be out for the rest of the season, not just a small period of time, but the entirety of the season. What do you think that does for the defense, the defensive line, Villain? How hit is the Levi Onwuzurike injury?
I mean, it's big. I mean, you're talking about a defensive tackle that probably had his best season, actually did have his best season of his career, coming back from a really bad back injury and getting spinal fusion, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And coming back from that, and then they had the ACL thing. I mean, you feel worse just for Levi in it. I think the Lions will be all right as far as the depth they have at that spot, but he was unique because he could rush the passer. So and I'm not saying the other guys can't, but he had a special twitch about that. That's a part of his game that I was looking forward to, developing and getting even better this year. And now they're going to be without him. Yeah. But I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah, that was tough because I think we talked about all off season. You know, what was the other moves, and did they make enough splash? Did they do anything? You know, we know what they drafted. They brought in Tyleek, so I don't know if they had an idea of what this injury was. I don't think they knew the severity of it at the time, but they obviously knew he was working through some things. So I think, to me, it seemed like the organization had some sort of idea that they needed to replace a defensive tackle. And that's what they did. So leaning on that now, how do the Lions move forward? They're without Levi. So based on the fact they don't have Levi, we know they're not going to have Lee McNeil as well for at least a good half season. What do they do now up front to make up for those losses? How do they get production?
Well, I think that they have a couple players. I mean, I don't know if you remember, like before. God, I can't even remember when we did one of our first shows that we did together. We were talking about how many defensive tackles were that they brought in that were like of higher quality. And it's like, man, what are they going to do with all these guys? And it's like none of them were world beaters, but they were all decent guys. I think Roy Lopez is a good addition. You're talking about a guy that was underutilized in Arizona, and they loved him out there just from the work ethic type, and he seems like one of those guys that's just like looking for the opportunity. Well, there's an opportunity there for you, buddy. And then you got Pat O'Connor, who when it comes with Casey Rogers, you know, that's a guy that he worked with in Tampa Bay, won a Super Bowl ring with Tom Brady. Yeah. And then Casey Rogers comes here. I think that benefits a guy like O'Connor, who was already showing some signs last year of, like, you know, being a plus player. Yeah. I mean, I don't think he ever embarrassed. So I think that we got guys that can fill that role. And plus, everyone loves Tyleek Williams so far. Just in the first 3 days, he looks the part. And I told you, I'm an Ohio State junkie, man. I watched the playoffs last year. I watched him take over those games. I mean, even in the Michigan game, I mean, they won scoring 13 points. It's not like they were running up and down the field on Ohio State's defense.
True.
Tyleek was a big part of that. It's hard to run on this kid. So maybe that translates to the NFL. Come on. What do you think of Tyleek Williams?
You like that?
Yeah, let us know if you're in the chat. And I appreciate guys getting in early. Jay-Z, Mark Merriweather, appreciate you guys for joining the show. Again, Tuesdays at 9:30, we'll be going live, hopefully weekly. Today we're talking training camp week 1 observations. We're talking about injuries here. Let's stick with the injuries. I think, you know, some of the things coming out of the first couple days. I know Enos Rakestraw had a little issue day 1. Sione Vaki exited practice yesterday. And we just know what the struggle has been over these last couple years with the Lions and the injuries. I even heard stories today that Dan Campbell had to dismiss a defensive back, Maurice Norris, from practice for getting a little overly zealous. What do you think about the Dan Campbell attitude and the grit behind the team? Do you think sometimes it becomes a little too much and it lends itself to some of these injuries?
I'm trying to think of the best way to answer that question right there. Because I love it, because it's a spirit, in the spirit of competition. That's how they're deciding who's making this team. And there's a line in there. And Dan Campbell is saying, you need to understand what that line is. And you can't cross that line, because then you're going to be gone. And I remember he said that a couple years ago when he was talking, I think that was in the Hard Knocks, where he was just like, look, if you're out here and you're throwing fists, that they were going to get those guys out of there. And, you know, a little bit of fighting's okay, you know, but I don't know where the line is. I don't know. We could throw a couple punches, but not 3. I don't know where the line is, but, you know, it seemed like Norris crossed that line and got, I mean, you get kicked out of a Dan Campbell practice. I mean, come on.
You know,
I'm going to bite a kneecap off.
Yeah, I was going to say, it takes a lot. Like, you literally have to bite your teammate to get kicked off the field.
What did he do? What'd you do, buddy?
Man.
I mean, can you imagine that? He's going to be able to tell that story to his grandkids. You're talking about, yeah, I got kicked out of a Dan Campbell What? How'd you do that?
We're going to bite a kneecap off.
Doesn't that speak on also the intensity? What I like about it, as much as we can talk injury side, but on the other side of things, especially with a guy like Maurice Norris, it shows how much the guys know they have to work to earn a roster spot. I mean, how deep is this team? Truthfully, if guys are willing to put themselves on the line in that Dan Campbell practice situation, to even go above that, to get themselves on this team, I mean, the camp battles are insane. So why don't we get away from the injury side of things? We'll kind of wish some luck on the rest of training camp. Let's talk about the Alex Anzalone situation, because it kind of leans injury, but it also might lean in a different direction. And that's why I want to get your opinion on this, Villain. Some stories coming out of the offseason and things that he posted to his social media, even some things that he's now said. I know he came out, I think it was earlier today, and even spoke to the media indicating he wants to stay with Detroit, but he also wants his money. And so what's your thoughts and opinion on this, Villain? Should the Lions give this man or rework his contract? Is it just look, play it out and see you later? Or how do you see this?
I think they should. Honestly, I'll say that, like, we're a little too business. I'll criticize Brad if they don't get something done here. And it's something that we talked about a little bit earlier in the offseason when I was bringing up the over the cap stuff.
Yeah.
There was a couple of guys. One was Frank Ragnow, but that's obviously a done deal in that way. And the other one is Alex Anzalone, and it just has to do with the guaranteed money, Johnny.
Yeah.
When you look at the guaranteed money for this year, there's no guaranteed money. So I think if they threw him and restructured his contract, a lot like look at the Khalif Raymond contract, if they do something to that effect, throw him some, guaranteed money up front, and maybe the contract still ends at the end of the year. But they give him a raise up to $8.5 million over Barnes, and give him the captain money, and it's not going to cost him all that much. So I say you just go ahead and get it done. If you got to add an extra year on the contract, you're talking $8-10 million. I mean, he's the captain of your defense. It's not like he's 100. He's 30 years old. You're going to give him an extra year. He's 31. Are we really? Are we counting that? So, in my opinion, re-sign the guy. He's captain of your defense. He's a plus player. It's obviously that the defense is better when he's out there. So, get it done.
Yeah. I think he's certainly earned it. I mean, he no doubt has earned it. And you laid it all out on the line there, what he's done for the Lions, what do you think he will do for the Lions? And he certainly has good years left in him. The one thing that I'll throw out there on the other side of this, and I don't know that I agree with it, is Brad Holmes and this regime very clearly protects their players. So guys that they draft, they hardly... there's only probably a small few that they've let get to the last year of their contract, guys that they've drafted. They typically take care of their players. Kirby Joseph, Penny Sewell, on and on and on. And I think what's coming is Jack Campbell also will be taken care of. And you heard, I don't know if you caught any of the Dan Campbell media outlet today, where he had even indicated, they asked him about the linebacker situation. He had a glowing review of only Jack Campbell, said nothing about Alex Anzalone. Now, some of that might just be the current situation. He doesn't want to light the fire or spark it one way or another. But the other side of this is, do you think the organization is so hard-headed that they're just okay with, look, man, you don't have any guaranteed money. We didn't draft you. You've served your purpose. I'm sorry, but there's other contracts to worry about. He's a casualty.
I mean, I would feel a way about it. I would feel a certain way about that, because it's, but there's another side of me that would understand too, because I don't run a multi-billion-dollar corporation.
Fair.
and have to, think of this long term. I don't know what the ramifications would be if they did extend him, if that tears into the Aiden Hutchinson contract and how that's all. I mean, I want Aiden Hutchinson here.
Yeah.
I know that.
Amen.
You know, I want Brian Branch here. You know, I want a shot at having Jahmyr Gibbs here long terms with Jamison Williams. And it's like the more and more you think about even just getting those types of things done, it's like I love Alex Anzalone, man. I mean, yeah, I guess I'll throw that question back at you because I don't really know how would that make you feel if they give Alex Anzalone the business.
Well, that's a great question. So if you're in the chat right now, let us know, what would you do with Alex Anzalone? What's the right thing to do? What is the Lions thing to do? And what would you do? I personally, I'm paying this man. I'm not overpaying this man, so I should probably say this the right way. I would rework his deal right now. I would get him some guaranteed money. I would give him, if it's me, I would 2 years. I would say 2 years. That's it, though. Here's a couple extra guaranteed dollars to make you happy. You are now grooming Jack Campbell to be the man. I mean, not that they weren't already doing that, and I think they're on the path, but it's just, that's what I would do. But I'm surprised they haven't done it already, Villain. I cannot believe they're letting him come to camp and sit there and in the press conference day one, Dan Campbell, I don't know if you listened to it, but to me, he waffled. That's the first time I have ever in my lifetime with Dan Campbell heard him not straightforward answer something. And then the day after, he goes, it's a hamstring. It's a hamstring. Why didn't you say that when you were asked the first time? He didn't say it. And you know how I love Dan Campbell. I never criticize him, man, but he didn't say it. So what's going on?
This is the part I put a post up about this just in writing today about this. It's like, why can't we celebrate just how professional Alex Anzalone is, knowing that he wants to rework his contract? I mean, I guess this last year, before the season was even over, that's just what it is. You get into the last year of the contract, the guys are going to want security. This isn't new. So when it comes with this, it really sucks because he's damned if he does, he's damned if he don't. I mean, the guy showed up to training camp, regardless of what that is. Other guys hold out into the season and all that stuff. He feels a certain way about the contract. It's business. Yeah. That's all that it is. And honestly, I would rather just talk about how professional he is by doing the right thing and just coming in and being a professional than to, put him down. It's like a hold in. What the hell is a hold in? That's just you wanting to crucify. You just want to crucify him in the exact same way that you would if he was holding out, and say the same things about, it's not really a hamstring because, I think it's a contract. It's like, well, if he's telling you it's a hamstring, it's a hamstring. And that also means, hey, we don't want to make a big deal about this. We're working on some stuff. So hamstring can be translated, hey, we don't want to make a big deal about this. Leave us alone for a minute and let us get it done behind the scenes.
That's how I take it. I think that's the best way you could probably wrap it up. And the truth is we're only in day 3 of camp. I mean, honestly, we could wake up tomorrow and have some news where it's like, oh, okay, they worked it out. That's kind of what happened. That was like the Ragnow thing. We all got bent out of shape about him for a day. At least I did. And then we go, oh, shoot, he retired. Oh, okay, I understand now. Let's stick with the defense. Let's flip off. Let's get off the contract stuff because I think ultimately that works itself out. I don't think he's going anywhere this year. But let's stick with defense and another hot
playoffs.
The edge, always the opposite edge. But the nice thing is, for the first few days of camp, it sounds like the opposite edge is playing dominant. Marcus Davenport is showing himself like he typically does when he's healthy. But the problem is we all know that he's a ticking time bomb, right? And his health is always in question. And 3 days of camp does not make a season. So do you take anything at all out of another Marcus Davenport sighting, or are we just have to wait and see?
I mean, it's everything's wait and see. And I feel I am so rooting for Marcus Davenport in this, because the thing is like everybody expects him to be injured week 3, so it's not. I mean, whatever. Like it's already a write-off. And he even kind of expressed that when they talked to him, where he's just kind of like, I don't even want anybody talking about me, good or bad, And I'm just rooting for him just to play the full season, because it's never been about talent, Johnnny.
Yeah.
It's never been about talent with him. He was drafted in the first round for a reason. It's always been about the availability. What if this guy puts a full season together? I'll throw that one back at you. What do you think would be possible? Let's say Marcus Davenport, he goes out and he surprises everybody, and he plays in 16 games this year. What do you think the ceiling is with that?
Well, that's another good question. Let's ask the chat as well. What happens with Marcus Davenport if he gives us, let's say, 12 games this year? What kind of production could he have? But I'll answer your question. I feel very weirdly confident about Marcus Davenport this year. And I'm part of it is law of averages. Yes, he's injury prone, but the guy's due. He's due for one. I mean, and I just, that's stupid in a sense, but at the same time, like it's a proven thing. Law of averages works itself out. So I think partly that, but on the other side of this, I think the defense will gain enough around the other sides of Marcus Davenport to where he doesn't have to come in and be superstar. He doesn't have to come in and, double-digit sacks in 10 games. We just need him to be a presence. He needs to be available and a presence opposite Hutchinson when we need him to be. Eat up a double team occasionally, and I think things are working themselves out. I think raw numbers, I honestly think he plays more than 12 games this year. I think they limit his snap usage very heavily up front. I think they utilize their young talent, and I think they'll gear him up as they get closer to the end of the season. And I really believe that he'll be an asset. It's wishful thinking. It's certainly Kool-Aid drinking, but that's where I'm at with him.
Well, I think that if everyone's just allowed to just dismiss him, we can be like, yeah, well, I mean, maybe he plays a little more than half the games, And I said 16, maybe that's the Kool-Aid. But to say 12, I think that's fine. I think that's fine. 12.
To me, it's like they're not going to use him in the preseason as far as like the preseason games. I think you're going to try and get as much reps out of him in training camp and these joint practices to just get his ball rolling. And then again, they'll figure out how to work him in. So I'm confident that the new defense will figure him out.
And I agree with GT. 10 sacks for Davenport. If he plays all season, I think it could even be better than that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the talent. I mean, if you look back, it's proven. I mean, you could just look back at the numbers. I mean, he averages about a sack every other game. I mean, you're not Myles Garrett or anything like that, but I mean, if you could take that over a full season and you could add 9-10 sacks to the other side of Hutchinson, and he will have the opportunity. Just like you're talking about there, he'll have the opportunity because people are going to be focusing on Aiden Hutchinson. So he's going to get more one-on-one looks, or whoever that pass rusher is. I mean, I think people forget last year. When I look at all these injuries and everything like that, it's like we don't get scared about injuries around here anymore. They won 15 games with Ukuwu and whoever they could bring in that they could train up.
Yeah.
So I have no doubt that they could take these talented guys that have more talent that could come in. They're not all going to get injured like that again.
No.
And Marcus Davenport, you could be the one. You're going to be the one that's going to buck that trend and go the other way. You're going to be Captain Pillar, right? Go Marcus Davenport. We believe in you.
Yes, sir.
You like that?
And make sure to take a second, go check out at 313 Villain Squad, and tell me again, Villain, did you change the tag for your Facebook? Is it still at 313 Villain Squad all over, or is it at Villain Squad?
It's 313 Villain Squad.
Okay.
I took the Lions out of it because we added the other stuff because we're diversifying now, man. I didn't think it was fair
Fair.
not to talk about the Tigers when they're doing good. You know,
I like it.
I'm out here. Why
I love
not?
it. No, I love it. You're all inclusive. So definitely go check them out. Facebook, YouTube, hit subscribe, hit those like buttons. It helps us out a lot. Let's flip the channel a little bit. Let's go over the offensive side of the football. We spent a lot of time on the defense. What I've liked a lot about what I've heard.
Stop playing with us.
Is what David Montgomery's come out and said this preseason. I think people might have even kind of forgotten him a little bit. And Dan Campbell came out and made sure to remind people that they have a lot of trust in Knuckles. And Montgomery himself is a very interesting guy. He's also very faithful, very family oriented, and he understands, I think, the mission of this organization better than most. He's been around it enough. He's had struggles. I think he gets the town, he gets the organization. And he has come out and said that this is the year of reckoning. This is basically where they cash all their chips. Do you feel that? Do you think this is the year of reckoning for the Detroit Lions? Can you get behind David Montgomery and that message?
I absolutely can. I mean, when you looked at this team from the get-go, they arrived early when they went to the NFC Championship. When you're looking at the team development, there were still holes in and it just seems like last year they had the shot, but the injuries were too much. I mean, if they would have won the Super Bowl last year, I would have been like, oh my God, this is going to be a dynasty, because if they, what are they going to do with all of the guys that aren't injured? It's like they won 15 games with a defense that didn't have Aiden Hutchinson. They didn't have a Liam McNeil for the end of that season. I mean, they went through a Rolodex of defensive linemen at the end of the year, and they were still able to make it work. But there's a lot of talent in there. Talik Williams, you're going to like this guy. I'm telling you, you guys are going to like this guy. And it looks now, because of the Levi injury, that he's going to play a lot sooner than later when it comes with that.
Yeah, I like the fire. I honestly think the depth and the types of players that they drafted, even the back end of the draft, like you said, are gonna push everyone around them. And when you have guys like David Montgomery, the leaders of the team, guys that have been in the league, I'm not sure who the captains will be yet this year, but I have to imagine that David Montgomery can work himself into captain status. Well, those kind of players will drive the rest of your organization to heights that hopefully we all want to go to. So I feel really, really excited about those kind of words and those kind of things coming out of camp. They're not content. They're ready to go.
I like the idea of having both of them out there at the same time. And there was more than one sighting of that, alluding to that. And I have no idea what that would even look like, but my mind started working in my little Madden poses in there, just thinking to the right, to left. I mean, are they going to line up Gibbs in the slot? What are we doing here? What are we doing here, Johnny?
I love the idea of and that was one of the topics. Perfect segue. Having the duo back idea, I think, makes a lot of sense in the John Morton offense. They're talking a lot about pushing the ball down the field. Well, they also want to make sure they utilize the talent they have, and they don't want to leave David Montgomery off the field. So I think the way that they do that then is use a two-back set, but Jahmyr Gibbs sort of is your scat, where he can play off and get out into a pattern where then David becomes your pseudo running back. I mean, but they can use them both in so many different ways. It's so much versatility. So I think that's really what they're looking for, is they want defenses to look in the backfield and go, I have no idea what's going to happen. They could go any way in these sets. And so it's kind of like the illusion that Ben Johnson would create just based on motion and some other things. Well, John Morton's going to do that with formations, versus motion. So I think that's kind of the difference.
I think a lot of people don't realize that about Johnny Morton, that he was here as the passing game coordinator before he went to Denver and did a lot of really good work there too with Bo Nix, and now coming back here, like, he earned this opportunity. But a couple of the guys, when I've listened to them talk about when they were asked about Johnny Morton, they really like the way that this guy's mind works and the way that he sees the field and the way that he's calling the plays and dialing up some of these plays. So I'm excited about this offense. I'm not worried at all about the offensive line, and I'm really thinking that David Montgomery is gonna go off this year with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, because I believe that he's the second best running back in the NFC North.
It's fair.
You know, I mean, maybe even the best running back in the NFC North when you're looking at the 1A, 1B. But I think he's better than Josh Jacobs. I think he's better than Aaron Jones and who's over in Chicago now. It's a Swift.
Oh God, DeAndre Swift. We don't know about him.
We already tried that.
Playoffs.
He's not our back anymore. So we got a question coming in from the chat here from GT. It says, how do you guys feel about people saying we have a window of opportunity? I feel like with our elite GM and head coach, we can be good for a very long time. Villain, why don't you kick that one off? How do you feel about saying we have a window?
I don't like that. Because I think the window, if it's just a window of opportunity, it's open now. But I believe where he's at, where you have a elite coach and you have an elite GM, and you're watching it unfold right in front of your very eyes when you're looking at a guy like Manu, and then you're watching these young offensive linemen. What happens if this works, guys? And it probably will, because Hank Fraley's a beast. But then all of a sudden you have 3 high-end offensive linemen in the middle of your offensive line and on rookie deals, and you're saving money. Mm-hmm. So you can get on the other end of that. And if you start hitting with stuff like that, you absolutely can sustain and keep that window open for a long period of time, especially if your GM and your coach are on the same page.
Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah, I think the Detroit Lions window is wide open. I think it's been open since just prior to 23. Like you said earlier, 23 was kind of a surprise as far as how deep it went. I would never have sat there and said they were a Super Bowl champion then, but certainly they had an opportunity. But from that point forward, the window's been wide open, and I don't think they've made any moves or lack of moves or organizational structure changes that have happened. Nothing has changed that. I think they've retooled, they reset their coordinator situation perfectly, the best that they could have done. And I expect to have a similar season this year. So regardless of if they don't have 15 wins, I think they'll be a better team, and I think they'll be in a better position to win. Now it's just about can they get over the hump? Can they win the big one? Can they stay healthy? Can Jared Goff be the man in the right moment to honestly make the next step? But I think, again, the window's wide open, and the way that they've been drafting, the way that they're paying the right guys, restructuring everything, I think there's years to come where that window's wide open. I think some really weird things would have to happen for that to shut.
By the power of Ra.
That's right, baby. Well, let's stick with the offense, because I want to hit on one more offensive topic before we get through today's live. And one is the backup quarterback situation for the Lions, because another camp star so far has been Hendon Hooker. And I think
it's my quarterback.
He could be our quarterback. Part of me thinks some of this is people understand they need to blow positive smoke in and around him as much as possible. But the other part is people are saying it seems like his footwork is better. He seems to be cleaner in the pocket, more efficient, more confident. His throws are more on target. So if those tangible things are happening and they can see that, then it sounds like he's taken some steps this offseason. If that's the case, Villain, and something happened with Jared Goff, would you be confident in Hendon Hooker coming in and a short-term replacement? Is he the number 2 quarterback for the Lions?
That's what they're training him to be. I would say yes. I mean, one of the predictions that I had, going into this is that Hendon Hooker's going to come into this preseason, and then he's going to drop back the pass, and he's going to start slinging it against these number 4 and 5 string defenses and these drywallers and these soon-to-be taxi cab drivers. And he's going to go and he's going to light them up, Hendon Hooker style, and everyone's going to be talking about it. I think he is going to progress. This is what, year 3
that
he's going into right here. it's a natural type of thing. He was a
Red
little
shirt,
bit, yeah. He didn't have much his first year, and then really last year he really had to kind of soak everything in, and now he's a veteran, and he's in there, and I think he's absolutely ready to take the backup role, and he's going to prove it by the end of the preseason.
It's my quarterback.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of Hendon Hooker chatter here because he got not only 3 preseason games.
He's mobile.
So look at him run. Look at him. He can make decisions that Jared Goff couldn't dream about. Well, we'll find out. I'm excited though. I like the potential. I like the difference in look that he brings in the feel of the offense. So it's exciting. But again, I don't look at that as some long-term solution. I still don't ever think that if Jared Goff goes down that we're oh great, we're now Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not. We're not there yet. I don't think he'll ever be there. But who knows? I guess we got to take this one season at a time and let's just see the progression. As long as that continues to happen, I'm happy with that.
Well, but here's the thing. Let's take this down the rabbit hole a little bit. If Hendon Hooker can run the offense, right? Then it's a matter of who do you have in there executing the offense. Well, if he has to be the starting quarterback, he's not working with Dan Skipper and Manu like he is on the practice squad. He's got Penei Sewell and Taylor Decker out there blocking for him with Amon-Ra St. Brown running the routes with Jamison Williams, with Jahmyr Gibbs that he can hand the ball to. So it's a different dynamic, and that's what it comes down to. We don't care what the stats say. I know that Dan Campbell doesn't care what the stats say. So they're just trying to teach Hendon Hooker. It's like, listen, if you can run the offense, we got playmakers here. So just don't play over and above yourself. If you have to make a play, you have to make a play. So I think that they're trying to teach them the little nuances that, make the elite quarterbacks, because he's got the intangibles. He is fast. He can make some stuff happen, and he can throw the ball accurately, but you got to make your decisions quickly. Yeah. So we're going to see. We're going to see what
It's my quarterback.
We're going to see what Hendon Hooker can do this year.
We're going to get so much opportunity. I'm excited. Well, we got to hit on this offensive line before we get done here, buddy. I think that's maybe the biggest story, at least in my opinion. That's the biggest concern that I have is how do the Lions remake the interior? And we've spent so much time over the offseason on how we've gotten to this point, but now we've entered training camp, and so far Tate Ratledge, after the contract, he's been a full go, has been taking all the center snaps. And of course we got with Taylor Decker out for these first few days as he recovers and gets ready for camp, Dan Skipper filling in at left tackle. Then of course you have Christian Mahogany, young guy at left guard, and they've been playing Glasgow at right guard and then Penei Sewell at right tackle. That's sort of been the steadfast rotation for the first 3 days all the way through. Do you think that's the starting 5 outside of the Decker replacement with Skipper? Is that them?
Yeah, I think that's what they want to get there as quickly as they can. Yeah. Dan had said in the press conference that there's like 2 decisions that need to be made. So I think that they're trying to figure out what they got there. And to me, if Ratledge is going to be the center day one, that is the best case scenario, because you're not trying to groom. There you are. You're there, and you already had Mahogany in there. He's already been training for the full year. He's just ready to take his spot, and Glasgow's the veteran. So I like that. I like that situation. And then they've got a whole bunch of guys behind them that are going to be in a bloodbath for whoever's going to back those guys up. I love the fact. A big question to me is, can Manu challenge Dan Skipper for the direct backup job? And if he can do that, going into this year, make Brad Holmes maybe be looking a little smarter out there. Because if you can get 2 good years. There you go. Rookie contract, right? Third round draft pick, 3rd round rookie contract. If you can get Manu out there to take meaningful snaps, then all of a sudden that draft pick is a good draft pick. Bust, right? That's all I've heard the last couple of years on that. And it's like you gotta let these guys that they call projects actually be projects. He told you that from the get-go that you weren't going to get much out of Manu last year.
Yeah.
But don't be surprised, because he's already out there killing it right now. He's already hit the 3rd team. Johnnny?
Yeah, I mean, Manu's, from what I've read, has been taking both 2nd and 3rd team left tackle snaps. So I think that speaks well for them working him in sooner than later. I think the problem is you got Skipper, the veteran, in front of him, which kind of prevents some things. And I think they want to try and solidify what they're doing in the interior by making sure they have veteran presence around those guys. That's just my opinion. I just don't think they want to throw Ratledge, Manu, Mahogany, your whole left side. Then it's just young guys. But I agree with you, man. I don't think he's long for the count as far as taking his left tackle, at least some snaps. I think you'll see him a little bit more this season. Overall, though, Bud, as we get towards this Hall of Fame game, I mean, is there any world where we think Tate Ratledge isn't the center and then moves over to guard and you have Glasgow then at center, or you think this is it? You think the first few days is the telltale sign?
Well, the good thing is like Dan is usually pretty straightforward, and he was pretty straightforward with that. He was like, we feel really, really good that Glasgow, he can just do it. So I think what they're doing is they're giving it to Tate to lose. And if it is too much for him, they will slide him over to guard and just have Glasgow take it. I mean, Dan said that's what they were going to do. So I believe him when he says that.
Yeah, it's mentioned there. Jay-Z mentioned the injury for Frazier. Another unfortunate one. I mean, a young guy, they just now can't even work into the mix. So that's tough, because I would have liked to see him get some 2nd team guard snaps to hopefully, get some play, and that's not going to happen now. But that means that it's Ratledge's all day. You don't have anybody even barking up behind you. So it's maybe a good situation. You don't have to play with too much depth.
I don't know, man. I'm you got maybe it's more into the backup role, but that Kingsley Ekuban, they really like him. This is 2nd year. I mean, I do think that he has a pretty good chance, especially at this point in time, of making the team. At least in a reserve role, but he's a natural center, and he's been in the system for a year. So
yeah, they liked him. They like him. They like Awasika. I'm surprised to see him kind of fall off a little bit, but again, maybe that just speaks to the quality depth they have. You know what I mean? I mean, Awasika he started the championship game in 23. It's incredible. So, hey, man, listen, number one, I just want to thank you again, bud, because I think these kind of lives, I get super nervous. So sitting here with you makes it a lot less stressful, because you go through this a lot. You're a great host yourself. And let me, why don't you tell the people what's your plan as we get a little closer to the season? How can they find the villain, and what kind of things you got going on?
Well, I mean, I'd like you guys to tell me that we're kind of going through this off season. I kind of like this. This feels good on a Tuesday night, because I got my juices flowing. I took a little bit of time off myself with that to recharge. So, but during the season, I like to go at least 4 or 5 times a week when it comes to. So I want the listeners to tell me what you guys like. Do you like it better at night? Or do you like it in the AM? Because I can make some certain things work. So you let me know what works out. When do you like talking football? And I do like this time, in the evening. So if you wanted to make it 9:30 every night, let me know that in the comments, because I might be able to jive. I could jive with this. So, and that way I would know that I was going to get to talk with Johnnny every Tuesday, but we could get some other stuff going. We get some like Hump Day Wednesday. We're gonna do the
Yeah, dude.
yeah.
I think we
So-
can get some really good things going. And I this is the, at least for the purpose of the Johnny Gas Sports YouTube channel, the plan is every Tuesday night, 9:30. And if and you guys, like Russell said, I mean, we love the interaction. We love the feedback. If you guys like certain topics, you guys like to go a certain direction, you just want to do question and answers, I'm here for it. We'll kind of mold this thing into what makes sense for everybody involved. Ideally, coming off of games, I'd like to turn this into a reaction, a grades thing. We'll talk about the week that was, the week ahead. And that's the cool thing about the lives. I think a Tuesday marker for me is a great midway point because we'll be past the games and then we'll be right in between weeks. So we can kind of dive into it. It'll be a great time for discussion. So definitely come back and see us here Tuesdays at 9:30. Go ahead, buddy.
I'm down. I was jiving.
I love it. I love it. I want to thank everybody who got involved in the chat today. And I know, again, this was off the cuff. This was out of nowhere. I didn't post that we were going to go live today, so I apologize. I will personally start to kind of prep these a little more so you'll know what's coming, what topics, what we're going to do. But I appreciate Dwayne Keene, Danny, Jeff. Jay-Z's been in the chat the whole time. I appreciate you, bud. GT, Mile Marker, I did see you in there. Just really appreciate you guys. Always talking lines with everybody. Please come back and see us. We will be here next week, Tuesday at 9:30. Buddy, it's been a fun week. It's almost weird to have football sort of back. Like when training camp starts, to me, that's like the first like tick in my head where, dude, I got to get locked in. Like I got to start my research. My notebooks are all over the place. I got 50 million of these all over, dude. I'm going nuts right now.
Fantasy football.
I know. How about that? Do you play? I don't play anymore, and I'll tell you why. But do you play?
I do. I have a league that I've been in for 20 years that we do keepers. It's a lot of fun, but good friends of mine, Joel, if you're watching, yeah, like I'm trying to trade for some keepers right now.
I love it. Then that's the way to do it, man. When you have the long time leagues, when you've been with the same guys. I used to play, but it started to change the way I watched football, and then I started to root for different things that I have a hard time separating it. So I got away from it, but no bad talk on fantasy football. I understand it. I get it.
Yeah, I won the last place trophy. I'm not good at fantasy football. I get so locked in reality, and then and I'm such a homer for the Lions that
Yeah, you just draft all Lions.
Yeah, I just make bad decisions. Well, that helped me last year.
Sure. Well, hey, buddy, I appreciate you, man. We'll call it there. Like I said, definitely go check out Russell the Villain at 313 Villain Squad on Facebook, YouTube. Come check out Johnny Gas Sports. Any social network you can get involved in, you can catch my content. This week we'll be doing just ton more training camp stuff. We're gonna prep for the upcoming season. I'll have shorts coming out all week long. We'll have some long forms as we get closer to the season, a State of the Lions roster. So a ton of good stuff. Russell, again, I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for everything. And we will be back next Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Peace out.